Damn! Vegeta! Aloha and welcome to part 2 of our bathroom renovation. In this video, first we're going to refurbish our door and all its fixtures. Next, we're going to install a new cushion floor. And lastly, we're going to replace the electrical consent with a new one. Let's get started. First, I'll remove the hinges, the doorknobs, and the doorstop on the bathroom door. I'm using a 60 grit sandpaper to remove the original finish on the door. Be sure to wear a mask and goggles when you do this, it's going to get dusty. I'm gonna patch up some holes on the door using this Yayoi brand wide supa. It's a putty that sets in 30 minutes. I'm gonna use the same primer from the last time, Akudomeru Akdomel. I'm gonna go ahead and use the same paint I used from the last video. Even though I can't recommend it, I do have some left over, so I'll just go ahead and use up the rest of it for the door. I applied 3 coats using this paint. I'm gonna spray paint the hinges, the doorknob, and the doorstop with this Daiso brand spray paint. It only cost $1 and I just used 1 can. I'm gonna remove the top part of this waistline just so it's level with the floor. I wanted to investigate these spots on the floor just to make sure there weren't any leaks and if there was major damage anywhere beneath the surface. So I just made a small cut in the wood and then kind of explored around since I can't see under it. I just didn't want to be cutting through any pipes. I cut a bigger section out just to investigate further. I can feel the joist, so I went ahead and cut a little bit closer to that joist just so I could get a better idea of what I was working with. All this insulation is molded, so it's gonna get replaced. Because the humidity in Japan is just insane, the floor was a little bit moldy, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace a section of it. Luckily, the rest of the floor was in good shape, so I didn't have to do too much replacing. I traced the part that I'm going to replace with the plywood I purchased at Conan Pro. They cut the replacement piece for me as well. They'll do it for a price, of course. Once I cut my section out, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the section that's gonna be replaced. I'm gonna get my pry bar and my hammer and just rip it out. You can see the pieces slightly green. There was no water damage underneath, no mold, so the joist didn't have to be replaced, which I was happy about. I wanted to take this time and give a little background about myself. I am originally from Hawaii. My wife was born and raised in Japan and we met in Hawaii. It's always been a dream of mine to live overseas, and so when this opportunity to buy a house presented itself, we jumped on it. I have been in the food and beverage industry for 20 years. Worked the front of the house, worked the back of the house. I was a host, busboy, dishwasher, worked my way up all the way to executive chef. I've never done construction in my life. I'm not a professional. I used to be an executive chef for a construction company. That's the extent of my experience. This is a big project. I've always been into DIY, but I wanted to show people if you have an interest and you have a passion for it, you can do this. It's gonna take some work, but at the end this is very rewarding. Now I'm gonna cut the hole for the waistline. Gonna give it a dry feeder just to make sure everything fits okay. There we go, like a glove. This floor needs to be absolutely smooth when you install your cushion floor. I'm scraping up the leftover shikui from the previous video. I'm using the same wide super putty that I used to patch up the door. I'm just mixing it on an extra piece of cardboard and adding water as I need it until I get the consistency I want. Kind of like peanut butter. Distribute this evenly. If you find that you keep pushing and it keeps sinking down, don't put more putty. Stop, let it dry, and then go ahead and put more putty down the next day. Otherwise, you'll just keep shoving putty into a hole that's bottomless. I'm gonna go ahead and section off our cushion floor. I saved the old cushion floor and made a stencil out of it because it was so dirty and covered in dead maggots. I just did not want it touching the new cushion floor, so I made this one out of newspaper. I'm gonna secure it in place with some tape. I just used a box cutter and a straight edge to cut this. I had a good amount of this cushion floor left over, but I am going to be using it for other projects. I'm tracing out the floor flange. I'm gonna cut a recess just so it lays flush with the floor. I'm carving this out with an oscillating multi-tool. This thing was my best friend during the renovation. There we go, sitting nice and flush. This is the replacement electrical consent. The old one is rusted over, but it does need to be replaced. Make sure your breaker is off before you do any kind of electrical work. I'm using the same screw removal bit that I used in the last video. Again, you're gonna use the drill bit to screw into the strip screw and then flip it around and use the extractor bit to remove the screw. Look at that bracket all rusted over. Definitely needs replacing. Now we're gonna remove the wires from the consent. To do this, you're gonna see a white tab in the consent. Just push down on that with a screwdriver and it should pop right out. We're gonna trim this wire a little bit. There's a gauge on the back of the consent that tells you exactly how long this wire needs to be for you to install it. Go ahead and trim it with a pair of pliers. Then go ahead and reinstall your wires. Most Japanese electrical consents are only 2 wires, your hot and your neutral, your black and your white wire. So installation is relatively easy. I'm gonna dry fit the cushion floor. It's a little big at this end, so I'm just gonna give it a little trim. I'm pushing down with my scraper and I'm gonna trim off any excess material. This blade was so dull. I should have replaced it before I started this. Now I'm gonna cut around the waistline. Don't worry about how much you're trimming off here. It is gonna be hidden by the toilet bowl. Just don't go crazy with it. I'm going to glue the cushion floor down using Bondo. It's a cushion floor glue. I'm gonna run a roller across the entire surface of this cushion floor just to ensure that everything is glued down properly. Not bad. Fix the hair a little bit. I'm gonna apply that same Bondo to our baseboards and secure it further with some nails. I'm gonna caulk the baseboards now. Be sure to puncture this lining. I didn't realize that it even existed. The caulking kit coming out at the back end. I'm such a ding dong. I have this tool that I use to wipe off the excess. If you don't have it, you can go ahead and use your finger. I like to use it. It gives me clean lines, so whatever makes you comfortable, go with it. I use the remaining caulking to seal off the gaps in the ceiling. And that's it for the installation of the cushion floor. All that's left to do now is to finish installing this electrical consent. I'm gonna attach the consent to the new bracket. The installation is super easy on this. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video, we're gonna finish up the bathroom renovations. I do my best impression of a plumber. Oh shit, I think this thing rotted off. I'm gonna install the new toilet. We'll add some finishing touches and then the final reveal. Thanks again for watching. Mahalo, aloha.